My evolution was a little different than some people. When I got out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was surfing, I was playing drums. I wanted to be a drummer in a rock band. I mean, who doesn't? And I had a job. I was driving a forklift at a place, just making ends meet. And fortunately, at this place, there was a gentleman who was in charge of the advertising department, and the company was a Hawaiian tourism company that they were based in Southern California but arranged tours to Hawaii. And he shot all their advertising, and he loved surfing. And we used to go surfing together, and he kind of got me into photography. I did a trip to Peru in 1988. It was a couple of years after I left high school. And he said, Michael, why don't you take this camera? It was a Canon AE1, gave me the instruction manual. Said, go down to Peru and go surf, explore, visit your family, and see if you like taking pictures. Go have fun with it. Go take some surf photography. And so I went down there and I started shooting pictures, and I really loved it. And as much as I loved the photography, it was just going down to Peru. I grew up in the suburbs of LA, a very kind of innocuous existence, as it were. I mean, a bucolic setting. I was at the base of the Santa Monica Mountains. Just the beach was 15 minutes away. I had a really great upbringing that way, but it was kind of dull. It lacked edge, as it were. And so when I arrived at the airport in Lima in 1988, under overcast skies, the country was in the middle of a civil war. Nobody in my family spoke English. It was like, I loved it. I just fed off it. It was like the chaos. I was 17 or 18. I could go buy beer. It was just this crazy experience. It was totally rearranged by molecules. And so for me, visually, that was a stunner. And I started making lots of pictures of, lots of waves, but went into the Amazon, went to the Andes, became addicted to Peru. I was totally seduced by Peru. I went and I bought a camera, went back in '89 for 3 months, really fell in love with photography. My mom was overjoyed that I found a passion I love. That's like, whatever you want to do, I'll help you. Just, mijo, por fin. I went to Brooks, which is an institute of photography in Santa Barbara, very expensive, so I only lasted there for about a year. Couldn't afford to go there much longer. But my brother bought me a book, a retrospective of Magnum. I think it was 40 or 45 years of Magnum photography called In Our Time. And as I went through those pages, I looked and I just I couldn't believe this is something you could do with a camera and travel and get paid. I can make a living doing this. So I really just fell in love with storytelling, journalism, documentary photography, whatever you want to call it. Beautifully done. And ended up going to San Francisco, graduated from San Francisco, did a couple internships at newspapers, went to work for the AP in Central America, just was totally consumed by photography. It became like kind of my single-minded ambition all through school. Spent student loan money to go cover the Zapatista uprising in Chiapas. And then just one thing happened after another. One of my internships was at the Boston Globe one summer, and fortunately they hired me later after my gig in Panama. And I have been at newspapers ever since, and that's why I'm a rarity now, in that I'm a staff photographer at a newspaper. And I'm a staff photographer at a newspaper that travels throughout the world covering stories. And there's only like 20 of us left, photography-wise, that get to do this. And so I feel really, really, really lucky. And it used to be a lot more. There were a lot of newspapers that would do this, the Dallas Morning News, the Miami Herald, lots of great newspapers. There's still a lot that do great work visually, but it's more local and it's fantastic work. But now there's us, the LA Times, the New York Times, the Washington Post. There's very few of us left that are traveling and really dedicating ourselves to covering events around the world. So I feel very, very, very fortunate.